Good morning, students. Today I am going to teach you chapter 3 of your science book, Structure of Matter. Now, what is matter? Matter, in earlier classes you have studied that anything which occupies space and has mass is called matter. Okay. Now in this chapter we will deal how matter is made up of and what is the appropriate structure of any matter. So, what is matter made up of? In the earliest time, Rishi Karnad was the first Indian sage who described that atom of matter is made up of small particles called Anu. Later, John Dalton, a Dutch scientist, founded that this Anu John Dalton later renamed this Anu as atom. So, atoms, what are atoms? Atoms are so small that they cannot be seen even by the most powerful microscopes. Okay, means atoms are the smallest particles from which matter is made up of, and atoms join together to form a molecule, as you can see here. Okay. Now, elements and compounds. What are elements and compounds? Elements are those substances which are made up of only one kind of atoms. That is, no other kind of atoms is present in an element. Okay, and it cannot be broken down by simpler methods also. So that substance will be termed as element. There are about 118 different elements known to us, out of which 92 elements occur naturally on Earth. Okay, now what is compound? Compound is the combination of two or more elements. Okay, different elements combined together to form compounds. Compounds can be compared to words, just like different letters or different alphabets combined together to form a word. In the same manner, different elements combine together to form a compound. Now, how elements form compound, I have already told you. These compounds are formed by the combination of different elements. Now, occurrence. How elements and compounds are formed. So, many elements have a great tendency to combine with each other to form compounds. So, these elements are found in combined form. Okay, that is, they are always found in compound forms in nature. But certain elements do not react with any other element, and so they are found in free state. Now we will see some properties of compound. A compound can be broken down into its constituent elements by chemical methods. Okay, this means that by utilizing chemical methods like electrolysis and chemical decomposition methods, chemical decomposition methods, we can break a compound into its constituent elements. Next, a compound always contains the same elements combined together chemically in a fixed ratio. Always, a compound is only formed when different elements combine in the fixed ratio. For example, suppose we take water. So the formula of water is H2O. This means that water can only be formed by taking 2 atoms of hydrogen and only 1 atom of oxygen. That is, the ratio will be 2:1. Okay, no other ratio can be taken to form water. Likewise, for example, say if we take 4 hydrogen atoms and 8 oxygen atoms, or vice versa, we cannot form water. Take another example of CO2, carbon dioxide. In carbon dioxide, we take only 1 atom of carbon and 2 atoms of oxygen to form carbon dioxide. This means that the presence of carbon and oxygen are in the ratio of 1:2. 1 part of carbon and 2 parts of oxygen. Then only CO2 can be formed. So these examples show that compounds always form in a fixed ratio of elements. Next property, the properties of compounds are different from those of its constituent elements. Very, very important property. The properties of elements are different when they form a compound. For example, hydrogen can be burnt in air. Oxygen can also be burnt in air, but the combination of hydrogen and oxygen, that is water, does not support combustion. This means that whenever elements combine to form compounds, their individual properties will change, will transform, and the compound will never show the properties of any of its elements. Okay. Now next, mixtures. Not always that elements combine to form compounds. Sometimes elements combine, or compounds and elements combine to form mixtures. Okay, it's not necessary that every time substance react to form compounds only. We can also get mixtures also. Okay, so what is a mixture? When two or more elements or compounds are brought together, they do not always react chemically. Okay, sometimes they can be combined without a chemical reaction, and that product is called as mixture. So a mixture can be made by mixing together two or more elements or compounds in any ratio. Mind it, in any ratio. In the previous case of compound, we studied that the compounds are formed by fixed ratio of elements, but here it is written that mixture are formed by any ratio of elements. Very important distinction point. A compound is always made up of elements combined in a certain fixed ratio that always remains the same, but it is not the case with mixtures. Okay. Now, one activity is shown. When mixture of iron and sulfur is taken, we can separate iron by using magnet. Now, when mixture of iron and sulfur is heated, then chemical combination takes place, that is, it forms a compound known as iron sulfide. When it forms iron sulfide, then you cannot separate iron from iron sulfide using magnet. That is, in case of iron sulfide, they are chemically combined. Now here, distinguishing properties of compounds and elements, compounds and mixtures are given. Okay. Constituents are combined chemically in compounds, while constituents are combined physically in mixtures. In compounds, same constituents are present in a fixed ratio. In mixtures, constituents can be present in any ratio. Constituent means elements. Constituents can be separated only by chemical methods in compounds, while it can be separated by physical methods in case of mixtures. Compounds have properties different from those of their constituent elements, while mixture have properties of their constituent elements, like we see that in case of iron and sulfur mixture. Iron shows magnetic properties, so it was a mixture. Now, compounds often, in case of compounds, energy is absorbed or released during formation of compounds, while in case of mixture, no energy is absorbed or released. Okay. Now next topic is symbol. Just like every person has this particular name, in the same manner, every element has a name, but instead of writing name again and again, we can use a symbol for denoting the elements. That makes our work easier, that makes our representation easier. So what are symbols? Symbols are alphabets that are used to represent elements. Okay. And what is compound? Compound is a combination of symbols, combination of different symbols, which you can see as formula. Okay. Different symbols of elements combined together to form a particular set of symbols, which we termed it as formula. For example, we use H for hydrogen, O for oxygen, and the combination of H2O will form the formula of water. Okay. Now, J.J. Berzelius was the first scientist to provide this system of symbolic representation of elements. Some elements are represented by using the first letter. Now we will understand how this system works. Some elements are represented by using the first letter. For example, in case of carbon, we use symbol as C. In case of nitrogen, we use symbol as N. In some other cases, names of some elements have the same initial letter, for example carbon, calcium and cobalt. For example, C can be used for carbon, calcium and cobalt. Then how we will distinguish them? So in that case we'll take the second alphabet. For example, in case of calcium we take Ca, and in case of cobalt we take Co as the symbol of the respective elements. Okay, so we use Co for cobalt, Ca for calcium, Ba for barium and Br for bromine. Okay, and B for boron. In this table there are the elements along with the Latin names and their symbols given. And also in some cases the element's name is the elements have, in some elements they, in case of certain elements their Latin names are given. For example, the Latin name of copper is cuprum. Okay, so in few cases the Latin names initials are taken as the symbol of elements. Okay, for example, the Latin name of potassium is kalium, so we take the symbol of potassium as K. The Latin name of copper is cuprum, so we take the symbol of copper as Cu. Okay. Now next, formula. What is formula? Formula is we know that a molecule of water contains 2 atoms of hydrogen and 1 atom of oxygen. The formula of water should therefore contain symbols of hydrogen and oxygen. The formula is what? The combination of symbol of elements which represent a particular compound. Okay. So a compound will always have a chemical formula consisting of alphabets, or you can say symbols of the elements found in it, combined in it. Okay. For example, here the chemical formula is given. You can see that hydrochloric acid chemical formula is HCl. In iron sulfide chemical formula is FeS. Methane chemical formula is CH4, carbon dioxide CO2, sodium oxide Na2O, and magnesium chloride MgCl2. Okay, these are what? These are chemical formula of these compounds. Okay. Next topic is atomicity. Atomicity is what? Atomicity is the number of atoms present in one molecule of a particular element. For example, in case of helium and neon, it is written as He or Ne, so it is monoatomic. Okay, but in case of H2, Cl2, we say that the atomicity is 2, because in this molecule, in a single molecule of hydrogen, that is H2, we find 2 hydrogen atoms. In case of chlorine, we find 2 chlorine atoms, so the atomicity is 2. Next topic is valency. Now, valency is the combining capacity of a particular element or compound. Okay, the valency, the valency is the combining capacity of a particular element, not compound, of a particular element. The valencies here you can see the different valencies of different elements. For example, hydrogen has valency 1, iron has valency 2 or 3, oxygen has valency 2. Okay, potassium has valency 1. You can see this table very carefully. Nitrate has valency 1, iodine has valency 1. Okay, carbon has valency 4. We can use valency to write the chemical formula of particular compounds. Okay, this is the main purpose of studying valency. Now, chemical equations, last topic of the chapter. Chemical equation shows the result of a chemical reaction in which the reactants and products are represented by symbols or formula. It means that the chemical equation is the representation of a chemical reaction. Again I repeat, the chemical equation is the representation of a chemical reaction in which we use symbols or formulae of the reactants and products involved in it. For example, there is an equation given Fe plus S gives FeS. Fe stands for iron, S stands for sulfur, and FeS is iron sulfide. So this is a chemical equation in which we are representing the combining elements using their symbols, and we are using chemical formula for the compounds formed after reaction with these elements. In the same manner, you can see that hydrochloric acid has formula HCl, nitric acid has formula HNO3. Okay. Now, also there is one topic more, balanced chemical equation. Now, what is balanced and unbalanced chemical equation? So, in this equation, Fe plus S gives FeS. In this case, on the reactant side, what is reactant side? The side which is left to the arrow, that is this side. This side is left side, and the side right to the arrow is right side, product side. This is left side is reactant side, right side is product side. When the number of atoms on the left side or reactant side is equal to the number of atoms on the right side or product side, we state that the chemical equation is balanced. For example, here only one atom of iron is present and only one atom of sulfur is present, and here also one atom of iron and sulfur is present in iron sulfide. So this is a balanced chemical equation. Okay. Now look at this equation. N2 plus H2 gives NH3. Okay, here nitrogen is 2, hydrogen is 2, but here nitrogen is 1 and hydrogen is 3. So this is not a balanced equation, that is, it is an unbalanced equation. So it can be balanced by taking N2 as same, and we write 3H2. This 3H2 will be equal to 3 to the 6 hydrogen. Okay. Now here in the formula 2NH3, N is 2 and H3 into 2 is equals to H6. Okay, so this is a balanced chemical equation. I hope you have understood the topics well, and you will do good in your upcoming test. Okay, thank you and study well.